Well, good morning to the West Coast. Good afternoon to the East Coast. Good evening to Western Europe. Good close to midnight to Gaza. And if anybody's awake in Australia, this is being broadcast on multiple platforms and will be archived at davidrovics.com/thisweek or at Patreon, Substack, and various other places where you can find it afterwards as a MP3 and as a video on YouTube. And I'll just start with a song about how I wish things were. And if people could tell me in the comments how things sound, that'd be great. Because I can't really hear much other than my mix. The 5th month of the year, on the 1st of May, known around the world as International Workers' Day, you'll still see people marching in every corner of the earth. St. John to Santiago, Kerala to Perth, all keeping alive the fantasy what could happen down the line when the workers of the world combine. You can see us gathering early in the morn. Some are celebrating the shackles we have shorn, while so many billions are just waiting for the moment that we might stop losing the class war, when someday we can all say, yeah, we're doing fine. When the workers of the world combine. When that time arrives, maybe it looks like May Day, like a festival that comes home and doesn't go away. Every race and gender, every walk and station, with the working class united, every land and nation. Then just watch what happens when we follow the same sign. When the workers of the world combine. 5th month of the year, on the 1st of May, known around the world as International Workers' Day. That's from my album May Day from 2021, which has some kick-ass banjo playing on it, along with great all kinds of other stuff. And there's a couple other songs from that album that I think are particularly relevant, and I'll do them. Let's see. I'll find them. Here we go. This is from 2021. Guess it was written 2021. Maybe 2020 was written when it was actually written. I heard them marching, chanting, "Kill them all." I saw millions of people trapped behind ghetto walls. I saw the soldiers shooting every Friday afternoon. I saw some exposed to sickness, with others made immune. I saw the tear gas in Al-Aqsa, eyes open wide. I saw the mob attack the motorist and beat him till he died. I heard the generals lying. I saw the tanks moving in. I heard the settlers shouting, "Let the killing begin." Look up above, hear the ear-splitting sound. Watch the buildings crumble to the ground. See See the planes in the sky there by the sea, so much like New York City. I heard the wailing voices of the dying and forlorn, of the kids who couldn't get out, and those who weren't warned. I saw all the schools and hospitals and pieces there still from the last time the IOF came to maim and kill. I saw the brave children with piles of rocks facing tanks demolishing city blocks. What's left of the grove but some sap as they try to wipe Palestine off the map. Look up above, hear the ear-splitting sound. Watch the buildings crumble to the ground. See the planes in the sky there by the sea, so much like New York City. I heard the DNC and all the Republicans too pledge allegiance to Netanyahu. I heard the president start the story with rockets from a ghetto where people live in rubble, starved by an embargo. I saw a whole lot of crocodile tears on display for the zillionth time. I heard politicians say, can both sides please de-escalate? On one side are the occupied, on the other an apartheid state. Look up above, hear the ear-splitting sound. Watch the buildings crumble to the ground. See the planes in the sky there by the sea, so much like New York City. I heard them marching, chanting, kill them all. I saw millions of people trapped behind ghetto walls. Could have been written last week. A little about the geopolitics involved with recent events. Started a long time ago. Missile strikes in Baghdad, skies full of fighter jets. Tension in the air, as thick as it gets. Their talking points are loaded at each press conference with what passes for an effort at historical reference. They talk of things that happened over 40 years before, that they say now bring us to the edge of World War. They talk about the hostages, so let us now rewind. When the students took the embassy, just what did they find? When the students took the embassy, I was just a kid, but I remember well the first things they did. Let all the women go while collecting all the trash. All the shredded documents that weren't yet turned to ash. All the shredded documents that clearly showed the torture and corruption, how the power flowed. The concept of a captured state was one the Shah defined. When the students took the embassy, just what did they find? When the students took the embassy, they found the crimes of Savak. Had the CIA hiding under every rock, and that's where they had been, where the agents were based. They had a staff of thousands there. From there they laid to waste the dreams held by so many for a free society, like the one they overthrew back in 1953. Historic crimes exposed in the shredder once consigned. When the students took the embassy, just what did they find? When the students took the embassy, let's see here. And apparently, while a lot of other very horrific and horrifically notable events are in the news, there's also been some new climate report that is looking pretty dismal. Wake up another morning, see my baby's cheeks, glad to be around to have another week to watch the magic happen, find all there is to learn as the planet floods and burns. Wake up another morning, grind some coffee beans, turn on Al Jazeera, marvel at the scenes. Towns reduced to ashes while the twisters turn as the planet floods and burns. Wake up another morning, picking on these strings. One more day to be here, find out what life brings. The horizon's red and hazy, that much I can discern as the planet floods and burns. Wake up another morning, watch the neighbors drive away, heading to a warehouse to work another day, leaving me to wonder how fast this wind can churn as the planet floods and burns. Wake up another morning, see the Twitter trolls complain about the fascists who are living on the dole, demanding safe space in the boxcar and other safe concerns as the planet floods and burns. Wake up another morning, see the orange hue, know what needs to happen, don't know what to do. Show me to the ark, where's the bow and stern as the planet floods and burns. Wake up another morning, in the now again. If I want to see the future, I can count to 10. History, you'll find it in the tombstones and the urns as the planet floods and burns. As the planet floods and burns. As the planet floods and burns. Hear the drones above your head. What were the last words that she said before she joined the thousands dead as the bombs rain down? See the fire in the sky, hear all of the children cry. The tower falls from way on high as the bombs rain down. See the dust rise everywhere. Once it was a building there, then it crashed down from the air as the bombs rain down. Twisted bodies all around, the never-ending buzzing sound, the earthquake shaking all the ground as the bombs rain down. Shattered camps of refugees, necklaces of ancient keys, smell the burning olive trees as the bombs rain down. See the homes, apartment blocks, see the mosques reduced to rocks, feel the awe and feel the shock as the bombs rain down. See the sewage in the street, mixed drenched with blood beneath your feet before the sonic boom repeats as the bombs rain down. See the darkness of the night, no power for the lights, but the explosions are so bright as the bombs rain down. Nothing left but rubble strewn, nothing rising but the moon, but the next one's coming soon as the bombs rain down. Hear the politicians say there's nothing here to see today. We're punishing Hamas this way as the bombs rain down. Hear the drones above your head. What were the last words that she said before she joined the thousands dead as the bombs rain down? Let's tune to a tuner. Their country was invaded and destroyed. Then they had a baby boy. They sold everything they owned so they might escape the war zone. They took the Baltic route, north and west, was the one the smugglers said was best. They got as far as Germany, which is where they had another baby. It's a deadly thing, what some call immigration. England was their final destination. In a crowded van driving to the port, on past Flanders fields, yet another life cut short. Cops on every side, the vehicle surrounded. When the loud crack sounded, Mama held her daughter tight in place. Then she saw the bullet hit her face. And Mauda was her name. Mauda was her name. There are many ways to stop a van, many ways to do it they can. Make a roadblock for one. If you're under fire, you can use your gun, but all the bullets flew in one direction. At first they denied it, but at closer inspection, the cop was aiming for the driver's head. But he missed and hit the girl instead. And Mauda was her name. Mauda was her name. And if the driver had been hit, how many more numbers would be added to the score of those who only wanted to raise a family but then died on the shores of Turkey, or somewhere in the desert, or tortured in a prison, on the bottom of the ocean, at a Baghdad checkpoint, or at a traffic stop, or shot down by a Belgian cop. Mauda was her name. Mauda was her name. Mauda was her name. Let's see here. I don't have any cheery songs for you today. When you're working 2 jobs and living in a tent, when a house costs $1 million and you can't pay the rent, when politicians say they'll help but it keeps getting worse each time the landlord lobby pulls the strings of the purse, when the human right to housing isn't even part of the debate, you know you're living in a failed state. Citizens are spending half their lives locked up in a prison for trying to survive. When laws must be broken just to have a place to stay. When the prisons pay the senators to look the other way. If you have to be a criminal to put food upon your plate, you know you're living in a failed state. When you're facing climate breakdown, when the trees are all on fire, when half the country's underwater, when a climate change denier runs the nation, and the opposition party votes for oil rigs and pipelines, it's not so much a country as it is a corporation buckling under its weight. You know you're living in a failed state. Is an empire facing daily blowback, and the only thing your leaders can think to do is attack. Bipartisan consensus that we need to spend $700 billion before the year's end on a military budget to make America great. You know you're living in a failed state. Every day some psycho with a gun has to open fire on a crowd before it's done. When the music festival becomes a free fire zone, and all they can say is it's okay now he was acting alone. Buy some armor, pray to God, and hide behind a gate. You know you're living in a failed state. You know you're living in a failed state. You know you're living in a failed state. I was messing around with songs that work especially well with this particular instrument, which is a mandola tuned CGCF. And I found this one works really well. Let's see. And let's see. Good to see you here, everybody. I can see your comments, whatever platform, if you're watching on X or Facebook or YouTube or Twitch or LinkedIn even. So this is what it's like to live in such a place where kids with book bags and braces take the bus to school, learn the golden rule. So this is what it's like to live in such a nation where people stay within their stations, where the businessmen wear ties, they have a burger, Coke, and fries. So this is what it's like to live in a country where kids go to the beach to party, mowing lawns for summer wages, while other kids get put in cages. So this is what it's like when you learn to go ahead, put your kids to bed. Try not to think as you turn out the lamp about the ones in the detention camps. So this is what it's like with the rule of law suspended, society upended. You don't know what to do. They're taking away your neighbors, but they're not citizens like you. So this is what it's like. Thank you, Katie and Mark. Glad you like it. I'm not sure which kind of songs it is that work with this instrument, but I know when I find it, when I'm messing around with my songs, I find the ones that work and the ones that don't. Sometimes it's just because I don't know how to play in that key, and other times it's because of other reasons. Almost 10 years ago, the train came through the center of Lac-Mégan, ticket blue. Scores of people died that night. What's been done since then to set things right? They'd like to know. In East Palestine, trains derailed in Washington state. They talked about reform, too little, too late. The industry lobbied both sides of the aisle, legalized bribery American style. Ask the folks in East Palestine. Reforms discussed but never made. Ancient tracks worn and frayed. As expected, the brakes failed. Dozens of rail cars derailed in the town of East Palestine. Carcinogenic chemicals leaked, killed thousands of fish into creeks. Poisoned air made people sick. You can hear the time bomb tick in the town of East Palestine. Acrid air across the county. Who knows whether to stay or flee? The EPA says it's all clean. It says so on this machine in the town of East Palestine. The next disaster's coming soon, as surely as the rising moon. The air, the water, and lives at stake, but we can't make them get new brakes. Just ask the folks in East Palestine. Just ask the folks in East Palestine. So let's see here. What is on my list of other songs? this one. If I can find it. There it is. Find with this instrument, it actually goes sharp as you play it. It goes sharp instead of going flat, which I've never experienced before. But I'm sure there's a reason. Great-grandparents were refugees. That should be a normal thing to say. I was born in New York City. My people came from far away. They fled the generals and dictators, the warlords of Moscow and Budapest. You could be conscripted for the rest of your life, or you could head west. My great-great-grandparents were refugees too, just north and west of Brittany. Farmers in the hills somewhere on the starving side of the Irish Sea. They fled their colonial torturers. They fled starvation, slavery. They fled across the Atlantic along with millions of other refugees. My great-grandparents were refugees, but getting to the other side took such a toll, it seems, that my great-grandfather died. So when his son was a little kid, he grew up without a dad. And that's typical of the hard life so many other refugees had. My great-grandparents were refugees. Let me tell you what that means. They were escaping war-torn lands ruled by tyrants, kings, and queens. They did not come seeking fortune. They were not pioneers. Leaving home, their hearts were broken. All their cries fell on deaf ears. My great-grandparents were refugees. No one taught me that in school. It's dangerous information in the old game of divide and rule. My name is David Rovix, and I know who my people are. They're on that raft upon the ocean. They're in the trunk of that car. My great-grandparents were refugees. That should be a normal thing to say. I was born in New York City. My people came from far away. there's so many parallels, historical parallels or rhymes in history to what is unfolding right now in Gaza and in the broader Middle East. And one of the things we're learning over time is that the Israeli authorities' propaganda about exactly what went on in southern Israel is full of all kinds of, as awful as it was, all these people being killed, the proportions of military over civilian deaths is nothing like what the Israeli authorities are reporting, and a lot of other things are totally off with the authorities' version of the things. If you want to check my Twitter or Facebook or YouTube or whatever, I've recently posted an article that elucidates some of this, tries to, in terms of actually what's known from actual reports. It sounds like the Israeli authorities, when the Israeli army went in there, they killed a whole lot of their own people in addition to the folks who are taking them captive. Just like the Attica prison riot. But in the prison rebellion in upstate New York in the early 70s. But I was thinking of Northern Ireland and the pogroms of 1969, which against the Catholic community across the north of Ireland during that summer of 1969. And it was all that they were fomented based on completely false propaganda being put out by the British authorities about things that were happening that were not happening, like the IRA being responsible for crippling the electricity supply throughout Northern Ireland. This happened, but they had nothing to do with it. It was a setup, what they today call false flag. Say it started long ago. Keep one lifetime in your sights. People were marching for basic civil rights. The marchers were attacked. The press made wild claims. Anything that happened, Republicans were blamed. The mood that was incited, quite intentionally, all over the 6 counties in the loyalist community, was an atmosphere of hatred, the kind that burns and kills if you live in the wrong house or stand too close to the windowsill. In the pogroms of 1969. With torches, pikes, and guns, neighborhoods were attacked, supported by police if anyone dared fight back. Fight back people did, kept the loyalist mobs at bay. Far more homes would have been destroyed if not for the IRA. Defensive lines were formed as best as could be done. 50 buses hijacked and lit up in the summer sun, surrounding the burned out shells of the houses of Ardoyne, while just beyond them Orangemen sang the Battle of the Boyne. In the pogroms of 1969. Thousands fled the carnage. Hundreds of homes burned down. There was a refugee camp in Dundalk as big as any town. The British Army invaded the north and started building walls, separating ghettos from the bog side to the falls. If you want to understand the world you live in, you have to peel back the layers and look beneath the skin. If you do that, you may find so much of these troubles began half a century after the black and tans. In the pogroms of 1969. say it started long ago. Keep one lifetime in your sights. People were marching for basic civil rights. Let's see here. So, I'll do one. I was very moved to hear from a friend of a young man named Tortuguita, who was involved with the Stop Cop City movement in Atlanta. I heard from one of his friends who was telling me that he was a big fan of my music before he was gunned down in a hail of bullets by the Georgia and Atlanta police, who also shot each other as they killed him. And Tortuguita had a playlist on Spotify, still up, and it has a bunch of my music in it, and a lot of other great folks. It's a wonderful intro to English and some Spanish music from the past century of left-wing music. I don't know if I need to adjust the bridge, maybe. Once it was Muskogee, then a forest prison farm. The city council said the woods should not come to harm. They voted to preserve it, but their vote was overturned in favor of Cop City, the name their project earned. Local people opposed it, opposition grew. Folks came to defend the forest, Tortuguita did too. From food not bombs in Florida to a tent beside a tree, just outside Atlanta, in an adopted country, and I'm driving down the road through the Georgia mist, listening to Tortuguita's playlist. They began construction in 2021, protected by SWAT teams with armor and guns. The mayor said trespassers were terrorists. The resistors were afraid things might go like this, and I'm driving down the road through the Georgia mist, listening to Tortuguita's playlist. Counselor said, call off the armed raids. With that going on, mistakes could be made. Then one winter day, the forest was filled with a hail of bullets. Tortuguita was killed, driving down the road through the Georgia mist, listening to Tortuguita's playlist. Dozens of bullets shot into a tent. They don't want to say it, but that's how it went. The Georgia police answering straight to the governor's mansion, head of the state. And I'm driving down the road through the Georgia mist, listening to Tortuguita's playlist. I'm driving down the road through the Georgia mist, listening to Tortuguita's playlist. Let's see here. Well, hopefully my lyrics are still going to be there because the battery's dying on my tablet. But I think it'll last for a couple more songs. Well, back in the 1930s, there was somebody to save the refugees from the war zone. At least some of them. Don't know about this time. Across the ocean wide, where many ships have been, where many long remember those passengers within. All of those whose families were buried or in jail in the killing fields of Spain when the Winnipeg set sail. Across the ocean wide, across the open seas, a world better than the camps, the French authorities threw the people in, and if they lived to tell the tale, they'd be the lucky few when the Winnipeg set sail. Across the ocean wide, the ship was met at bay by the throngs of people who just had to come that day. In 1939, to cheer and cry and say all hail solidarity when the Winnipeg set sail. Across the ocean wide was where they would remain as dictatorship would rule for half a century in Spain. Torpedoed in 42, now it lies upon the shale. One voyage will outlive her when the Winnipeg set sail. Across the ocean wide. And, well, there's going to be a teacher's strike coming up around here, it looks like, in Portland. So, and there's also the auto workers and a bunch of other strikes going on. Who else is still on strike or about to go on strike? I don't know, but this is for all of them. This is about the Winnipeg General Strike. Just over, 105 years ago. Oh, how did it go, though? On strike. The war came, men were drafted, many never made it back. Those who did discovered, in their absence they got the sack. Tenement, oh geez. I just figured I could fake it and I'd remember the chords, but it's not working. What else do we have on this list that might be a good song to oh, here's something else that's at least slightly less depressing than a lot of the other material I've been doing. Let's see here. We'll do this. It's sort of for a strike. Well, actually, both of these songs I'm thinking of are for strikes. A fisher people strike here in Cordova. I am a fisherman, so were my parents. Here in Cordova, on Prince William Sound, I'm not a tree hugger, but I love the mountains. And hauling in the gill net with the ocean all around. Life was good here. You could raise a family with 100,000 tons of herring set out every year. 1989, the tanker grounded. Nothing's ever been the same around here. Senator Stevens said, not one drop of oil would spill on Alaska's shores, and if it happened, it would be cleaned up. But our beaches were still covered, as was the ocean floor. 4 years passed, each run collapsed. It was then we knew for sure the herring weren't coming back. Exxon's promises of compensation were about as empty as a used-up paper sack. It was August 20th, 1993, when we fishermen decided something must be done. We packed some groceries, we made some banners, headed out to Valdez Narrows beneath the midnight sun. 100 vessels took to the water, pushed through a storm and to the Valdez Sea. We lined up our boats, formed a blockade, and we waited for whatever might be. A tanker was approaching. It was a sight to see there in the twilight of the day. We saw it turning. We all cheered and cried as tanker after tanker after tanker turned away. A Coast Guard gunship from Seattle would take 3 days to get up to the Sound. We held the line till then we went back home to Cordova, to this hallowed, oiled ground. I am a fisherman, so were my parents. Here in Cordova, on Prince William Sound. Well, I'll be doing a tour with Kamala Emanuel of Denmark, Sweden, and Norway, coming right up from November 2nd to the 15th. We got gigs all over Denmark, Sweden, Norway. So davidrovics.com/tour. You can find out about that if you happen to be Scandinavian or know anybody in Scandinavia. And I think I will just close out this little mandola concert with some actual mandola playing without the vocals. Try that. What the heck? Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye for now. Hope to see you soon, inshallah.